Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to this little Wednesday Webby. A couple of things just going on at the minute. We're going to do the usual format really. So we'll start off with a little bit of introductions. Then we're going to do our little bit of camp news that we always do, because we find that people quite like to know what's going on, what's changing on camp, and what's good, what's new, how people are getting on, that people following the virtual bootcamp group. And then obviously we'll go into our Q&A. We've had a few questions posted this week, which we'll be going through. So that's what we'll be doing. Just going to wait a couple of minutes to let people catch up and to join us, and then we'll kind of get underway. So in the meantime, I'm just going to knock the camera off whilst I sort of shoot a few things out, and we wait for Lauren to catch up, and then we'll be good to go. Whoops. Here we go. A little bit of progression again this week. We've got a little bit of a graphic along the bottom there, so that seems to be working. We have tried to do where we had Lauren in one location, me in another location, so we're not having to bloody crouch together and sit together, but didn't quite get there this week, but we will for next week. But we've got everything we need to crack on and have a great little webinar here. So we'll crack on. A little bit of an introduction then. Usual thing, like I said, we're going to start off, we'll do our little bit of housekeeping, Then we're going to go through some of the camp news, some of the stuff that's been going on in the last over the last 2 weeks, and then we're going to fire straight into the Q&A. This will take no more than an hour. Perhaps if there's only a couple of questions, whatever, a little bit less than that. So please stay with us all the way to the end. There's always some really, really good bits, good nuggets of information that start coming out towards the end. So if you've joined us now, thank you very much for joining. And make sure you use the thread that's in the Facebook group for posting your questions. There's a couple of questions in there already. Good to see Rob. I don't know if Rob's watching this now, but Rob who came to us and was a massive presence at camp last summer for a good few weeks. Good to see him posting the group. You know, he's a huge inspiration on the camp, so it's good to see him sort of getting involved. Siobhan, as always. Greg, yeah, I just know Greg will be there. He never misses it for a for a minute. Wouldn't even dream of missing it. So if you're there, thanks for joining us. Use that thread. A couple of things that we're going to be asking a few questions and using the old hashtags and that this week. So stay tuned and keep commenting so that we know we're on the right track. The first one being, if you are getting the volume right, if you can see us clearly enough, just give us a little number one there in the Facebook group on that little thread, and we kind of know where we're at. Once we get a couple of number ones, then we'll crack on and we'll crack on with a bit of camp news. So you're on there, aren't you? Yes. Yeah, cool. Thank you very much. Right, so we're going to crack on then with our little bit of camp news. So I'll fire over to you, Lon, for a little bit. You know, what have you seen going on in the last couple of weeks?
So since the last webinar, I then went away, had my week off, and I got back to camp on Saturday morning. Wrong, Sunday, because you took Saturday session. I had a Wednesday to go to.
Which, by the way, was epic. My training sessions on Saturday. Just saying.
Yeah, I've been undoing the damage since. When I say damage, I mean trying to get people back on track from it. Rather not because it was a good session.
All right.
Yeah, so it's been good. We had a big influx of long-termers, haven't we? So we've got Milena, who's back. She was here for 12 weeks last year. We've got Ellie, who's here for 6 weeks. We have had who else is long-term this week?
Yeah, a couple of people. We've got obviously the lads from Ireland, 2 lads from Ireland.
Yeah.
Caroline's still here. She's been here for about 3 or 4 weeks now, and just a couple of weeks to go. Eva's still here, so some massive, characters on camp at the minute. It's a real good vibe. Mel's obviously there. Mel is one of these success stories that's changing before our eyes, so which is great to see.
So it's just been much of the same. Carrying on from January. Good buzz. Everyone hitting the sessions hard. Everyone looking after each other. Big shout out to James again. Yeah, keeps morale up as best as he can. Adam's left.
Yeah.
Adam left. Adam spent just over a year with us, so that was quite a big thing. But in terms of camp news, we're just rolling. Keep rolling forward.
Yeah, brilliant. So let's fire into some of our questions and some of the questions that we've got up and running at the minute. I've got one just here that we're going about, and Siobhan, it come from you, and it was basically you've been to one of the Jesse Pavelka days now, and I massively rate Jesse, having met and worked with him a good couple of times. I really rate what he does, and I think he's one of those rare, good-looking trainers that actually knows his shit. I think there's rare, doesn't mean there's not one in the room with me, but you get some trainers that have just carved a living on looking good and just having a half decent grasp of what fitness and nutrition and health is all about. But in my opinion, Jesse's really got it. Like he's got the full package, and so it was an absolute pleasure to work with him. What Siobhan said then is the Jesse Pavelka talk I went to this week was really good. My question following on from that is about accountability and sharing your goals. What are your thoughts on doing this? Doing exercise within a group, is it more beneficial than training alone? Also, can you give us some insight to the online coaching with Lorne and what it entails? So we'll come on to the online coaching in a bit. So let's tackle that question first of all. So Lorne, what about you with regards to accountability?
It's a strange one for me. We can only ever speak from personal, our own personal experience. For me, if I've decided I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it regardless. I personally don't need to share it, but I know that some people do and benefit massively from doing that. I think, Craig, particularly you're one for sharing your goals. For me, I'm always, like I've said before, I'm my harshest critic and my biggest judgment. So the buck stops with me there. I don't feel I need to. It doesn't mean I don't, but it's not a necessity for me. But I think you're slightly different in that respect, aren't you?
Yeah, I think accountability is so much, unless you're incredibly sort of dedicated and you want to you naturally sort of train hard to fight easy, you eat clean and it doesn't feel like an effort, then you probably get away with just your own, you'll come up with ways of holding yourself accountable. But I think there's a whole world of people out there that need to have their own accountability, and certainly I think when you start making public declarations, quite often we can let ourselves down in when no one's looking and not have too much of a problem with that. But sometimes when we start letting other people down, then obviously it starts to affect things. And I see this all the time, when we have our walks and what have you, and people start struggling on the long hikes. And then what we do is we get people on the front of the hikes looping back to where the people are at the rear, and it's not, you're not going, we're not sending these people back to support the people that are struggling at the back. It's just so that the fitter ones just get a little bit more, get a little bit more distance in the legs whilst they're waiting for the other one, rather than just standing still and getting all the rest, getting cold, starting to seize up, and then obviously the people at the back are just constantly moving with no rest. But they kind of feel like they put them people out. It's like, oh, they're having to do extra work just because of me, and I think that is a bit like that. When we feel we're putting someone out or we're having an effect on somebody, we're becoming a bit of a liability. I think as humans, it doesn't really sit well with us. And I think accountability for the right people can be really, really powerful. So let's turn this off. So that's my take on it. I personally believe there are some people out there that without accountability will never achieve their goals. So I think it's something that you can just get in your program. And I always saw that success, ultimate success, boils down to doing your very, very best when nobody's looking. That's a pretty extreme way to look at stuff, and it's not for everybody. I think you need to gain a little bit of training momentum, a little bit of success, a bit of momentum with your success, and then that gets slightly easier. So it really depends, Siobhan. I know you've commented there.
Moving on, Siobhan, do we recommend training with other people? Yes, it is probably the most simple answer to that. I think a lot of people prefer to train with others, but at the same time, you still need to develop that own personal mental resilience, because you're not always going to be eating together with the people that you train with. You're not always going to be doing the things that you need to do outside of training together. So as long as you develop that mental resilience as an individual, then training in a group can be a really fun way to get the work done, obviously, which is what we do at camp. So.
Yeah, and it's, as human beings, we're social animals, aren't we? That's why when we get on a bus and the bus is almost empty, there's just one or two people on there, we tend to sort of cluster up together, in seats near each other, because we're social animals. We need interaction and what have you. And I think in a group setting can just take the edge off doing it alone. It's funny because although I'm a massive advocate of accountability, I'm really in favour of training on my own. So
yeah, exactly. It works both ways.
But there's so many benefits of training in the group. It's you've got so many other people there that are going to spot your progress, probably more less likely or more likely to do that than you are for yourself, because again we're our worst our worst critics and what have you. It's got to be a good thing. And I know, Sean, you just commented there. I find it keeps me on track, as I don't like to let others down. If I say I do something, I make sure I do it. So what you're tapping into there is not just your willpower or your determination. You're actually tapping into your own personal values in order to get you closer to your goals, you know, to get you results. So it can only be a good thing, you know, use it as a bit of an ally. And it's when people start shirting away from accountability where they start having problems. And even things like, you know, you can hold yourself accountable with the things that you do, the things that you say, even the things that you wear. For example, you know, I've seen so many people that started putting on lots of weight, and then it's down, you know, down the old notch in the belt, and then before you know it, they've moved on to an elasticated waist. Well, that, in my eyes, is, you know, you're removing accountability there. If you kept the same trousers until, you know, you're almost bursting out of them, well, that's a little reminder every day that you're starting to put a little bit of weight on, you know, and something needs to be done. The minute we give in, we sort of let these things slip, we lose that little bit of accountability. And before you know it, a couple of months have passed, you're a stone heavier, a lot more unhappy, you know, and you're struggling to get back into your training. So it's a huge thing. I've done a webinar before on accountability. I'll try and dig it up and post it in the group in the next couple of days. And you know, different ways that you can hold yourself accountable, not just through people. Yeah,
but I think the biggest thing to take away that, Siobhan, is you've got to find what makes you accountable as an individual and thrive off it. It's really, really important in terms of achieving your goals. But it's what works for you as an individual.
Yeah. Cool. Greg, little comment from Greg there. I love Lorne's no bullshit approach. Is that fair to say you are that way, Lorne?
What would you say? Is that fair to say, Craig?
It's pretty fair to say. Like, Siobhan, you've trained with him. What you know? What's your thoughts on Lorne's approach? Now, it is 100%. You know, just no compromise, no bullshit. Which, you know, I try and roll a bit like that myself as well, and it works, you know what I mean? A lot of people that come to camp have silver spoon in the mouth, you know what I mean? Or they're quite high up in the corporate world, and they're not used to being told what to do, you know, and they're just used to sort of cutting their own routine, really. And, you know, they step into a different arena when they arrive at camp, especially when Lorne's there, and it turns into sort of some gladiatorial battle, you know. And but we just, you know, when you're saying, if we flip that on its head there, Greg, no bullshit, what we're saying there is pure honesty. Now, there is no change in the world without honesty. So if we can have no bullshit, then we can have a great amount of honesty, and we can have a great amount of change. And that's what it's about. It's a fine line between that and being a bully and being unapproachable. You know, all the campers and that 100%. They know that they can approach Lorne and tell them their problems and stuff like that, and he'll give them a good stiff ignoring.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Cool. All right. So I think we've got some other questions.
Yeah.
There.
So a good question from Doug, and he said, we talk about weight loss and fitness, but not about training for events, training to build muscle, etc. So we'll touch on the first point, which is training for events, and I couldn't be a big enough proponent of what should I say?
You see what you get with Lorne. You're exactly where I stood, and he made me work harder for myself because I wanted to do well. He brought out the best of me.
Oh, there we go. Kind words.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sean. Yeah, so training for events. Now, Doug's titled this on what happens after, but actually, that to me, they're very concurrent. Going after your goals and picking an event goes hand in hand to me. The first thing I do when I start working with a client is set an event and a goal, a tangible destination at which we'll arrive at. Not, I just want to be thinner, because you know that's open-ended and we can't measure that. Well, we can measure you getting thinner, but we can't measure whether you're at where you want to get to. So I think training for events is absolutely key. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Well, it brings you back to accountability again, because you know you're gonna get pull your trainers on or whatever it is, and then you're gonna go and do an event where your effort is going to be monitored, not just by you but so many other people. You know, again, huge advocate of training for events, in that, you know, there's a rule called Parkinson's law. What it says in Parkinson's law is that a project will expand to fit the time that you allot it. Now, what that means then is if we don't put a deadline on stuff, then our project will get longer and longer and longer and take as long as it takes. If we translate that into the fitness world, then, so if we don't set a goal on our fitness, let's say, for example, a marathon, we want to run a marathon. If we don't set a date for that, then our practice, our rehearsal, our preparation for the marathon will just stretch out and out and out and out and out, and you know, it'll just take longer and longer to do. The minute you whack an event in there, you're starting to, you're starting to shorten that time period. You're putting a definite line in it and reducing that Parkinson's law. So
yeah, time waits for no man. I book competitions all the way out through the year because I know that's when I get the most out of myself in training. Great way to achieve your goals, Doug, in answer to your question.
In the NLP world, there's two different types of people. It's quite interesting as well, is that there are those that are towards motivated. So they like the carrot of being better, or you've got an event coming up or something like that. And then you've got those that are away from, so they're like the stick side of things. And they don't want to be the same size that they were in the past, or they don't want to be as unfit as they were in the past. They think back to a time when they did a 10K race or whatever, and it was just absolutely pathetic crawling over the finish line, and never want to be like that again. Really, really interesting to work out what you are personally, whether you're a stick or whether you're a carrot, and because what you can do then is you can then start using that to help motivate yourself a little bit more. So, if you are towards motivated, then, you need lots and lots of events that's going to draw you towards success in whatever your goal is. If you're away from, then, you need constant reminders of things that have either gone wrong or that you want to be better, better at. It's quite often you'll hear people say, well, I've got my fat picture that I put on the fridge, and I'm going to use that to motivate me. And then sometimes you find out that actually they're towards motivated. So the picture is almost irrelevant. They need a picture of when they was looking good and they were feeling happy and all that, because that is what motivates them. So what are you, Lon? What do you think you are?
Yeah, I'm very much away, but the reason I use competitions is because I don't want to fail at the competition. So I don't work towards it in a sense of achievement. I work away from it in a sense of failure. So I work harder so I don't get there on the day, and it all goes to it's in front of other people.
For me, obviously I've got the Marathon des Sables coming up later in the year. Siobhan, thank you so much for your kind donation as well, by the way. But the reason why I do these events is, I'm constantly trying to work out what the human body is capable of doing, and that's my sort of take and stuff. And as well as that, it's twofold. First of all, I just love the ability that the human body's got, especially to run. We are built to run. Even if you think that you're not built to run, you are. You've only got to look at your legs and all that kind of stuff, and arches in your feet, the muscles in the back in your legs, just to know that we are built to run. It's just that our environment prevents us from doing that sometimes. And then the other driving factor with regard to events for me is, I just know that in them real shitty moments in these big events, I'm going to learn life experiences and little bits of wisdom that is going to ultimately help other people. And I can use that as an example, a metaphor, or a lesson for other people to be better. So they're my.
Yeah, and I think Siobhan will agree with this, because I know she's gone off and done the races herself. Races and events are just fun at the end of the day. There's such a good positive energy around people doing like-minded things. Yeah. Take goal setting, take accountability, take achievement away, and it's just good fun. Yeah. So you can do it for anything, do it for that.
Yeah, I remember the first marathon I ever did, and running along, and the crowd was there cheering you on and all this lot. Really, really motivating. I mean, before I sort of got into running, it was rugby league for me, and there was always a crowd there cheering, but you don't really hear it when you're on the pitch. It wasn't until I did like the marathon where you get into little pockets of the crowd, and it break up the monotony and all that kind of stuff that I really sort of bought into that. And obviously getting the free t-shirts, anything for some free clothes.
Yeah, I remember my first elite race when I was racing triathlon. We came up swimming up these steps, and there was a good 500 people, and you've never felt anything before it since. Never felt anything like it since. Rather, it was an awesome feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, quality.
Good stuff. Doug's in. You missed your question, Doug.
Yeah, we've answered your question, Doug. You can watch the replay and get that. Not long though. It's only sort of 3 or 4 minutes back. So, but good effort. You was in the gym. You're allowed. You got permission there to be a little bit late if you're in the gym.
Tell us what you're doing in the gym, Doug. I'm interested. Okay, next question from Annalisa. I would love to know if you feel paleo should be for life and why. plus our opinion on thinking on different ways to train for strength when weight loss isn't a goal. Okay, so do we think paleo should be for life, and why? Simple answer is yes. The reason that that we advocate the paleo diet camp is it's very hard to get it wrong. The principles are so sound, it's very hard to get it wrong. And why wouldn't you want to do something that's going to limit the possibilities to stray? Would be my simple answer to that, Craig. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is for me is like the reason I got into paleo, I started reading books on nutrition and what have you, and started looking into the research and all that kind of stuff. And I know that the processed foods out there, they prematurely end our life. I know that the fast food and all that kind of stuff, the real nasty stuff, sugar and all this kind of stuff, causes problems and ailments and cancer and inflammation around the body, lesions in the gut and all this kind of stuff. Now, in my own ethics, I could not serve somebody grains, beans, rice, all bread, all these things, knowing what destruction it does in the body. Now, that's pretty hard for some people to accept, but having said all that, 100% it needs to be for life. It really does. It really grinds my gears to have people that are like, well, no, I don't eat spinach. I don't like spinach, but we'll eat some kind of chemical shitstorm in like a chocolate bar or something like that, and that's fine. That's up to them. But yeah, it's really got to be life for life, and that's what it is. It's not a diet. Paleo is not a diet. It really is like a way of life or a bit of a lifestyle decision there. Because we proved it ourselves with our sugar-free quest. It really is out there to get you, this nasty food, and you need some pretty simple guidelines and pretty sort of strict stuff just to combat all that. There's two sayings that I keep saying now every time I get my food at camp, and that is greens, keep your cancer clean, and reds, I've not really got a rhyme for that yet, but it's antioxidant for the body. So and I keep getting Paula to chant it as she's getting her food, because Paula doesn't eat. She doesn't particularly like paleo naturally. It's something she's really got to work hard at. Whereas me, I'll have as much sort of lean protein and fresh veg as I can get. So yeah, I mean, what was the second bit of that?
So the second question was, in our opinion, what is the thinking on different ways to train for strength when weight loss isn't a goal? Again, that you can train for strength with weight loss being a goal. Firstly, and secondly, it's a bit of a massive question that we couldn't really answer it in the context of this webinar. Training for strength is what I do. It's what I love to do. But there's a lot of different ways to do it. So we're kind of an unanswerable question in such a short space of time. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, screaming out for a whole separate webinar just on that subject.
Which we can do. If people want that, we can do one on the specifics of weight training and the benefits it can bring.
Yeah,
that's not a problem.
Yeah, it sounds like a good idea. Let's try and get some out for you though. There, who was it then? Elisa. So, personally, my heart goes out to you because I love people that their weight management is not the focus of what they're trying to do. It's the byproduct of what they're trying to do. I just think that's a great way to put to spin it. Even if you're like morbidly obese or whatever, if you go with the aim of just being fitter for life and having a good sort of general level of fitness, building your strength, then and just use weight loss as a byproduct, you're going to make great sort of inroads into your results in that there. Actually, it's quite a tough thing. It's quite a tough thing to do, to manage weight and build muscle. But I'm not entirely sure you're talking about building muscle. So I think what we'll do is our next webinar we'll have something based on strength and the way that doing different amounts of reps, different rep ranges, different amounts of weight, and the effect it has on different muscle fibers and all this kind of stuff, and see if that's.
Yeah, so I think Alice was asking about sumo deadlifting as well, wasn't she, the other week? So
yeah. So
sounds like she's getting into her lifting, which is cool.
Yeah, and another thing that that I'm a massive advocate is is doing, lots of people sort of split cardio and strength work. I like to do the whole thing in one big, like a conditioning circuit more than anything else, because the benefits there are just far greater. For example, my the start of my training session today was 100 bodyweight deadlifts as fast as you can. So it's predominantly a strength exercise. It's your own body weight, so it's relative strength as well. And then doing 100 as fast as you can certainly gets the heart and lungs pumping. But yeah, I think we'll have a separate.
Yeah, I mean, look at Sudoku says he's in 40 minutes of cardio, then an hour into a weight circuit. It's time dependent. If you can separate them, then it's more beneficial in terms of if you are looking to put on size and generate protein synthesis. Then if you can separate them, if you want to do a little bit of research, though, you've got the time, look into the mTOR pathway. That's a nice little bit of nighttime reading for you. That'll give you a reason as to why, if you're looking to build size, why you'd want to separate your cardio and your weights.
Great comment there, Greg. I'm looking to bear with you. Doug, great effort. Learning from other people that tread the path that you want to tread is a really good thing. Good thing to do. So, Doug, what top tips would you throw out to Greg? Just type them into the group, mate. It'd be really beneficial to him.
Okay, Omar asked, he's got a different question with people who haven't seen in a long time that can't stop about your weight without rearranging their face. This used to be a big killjoy for me before I came to camp.
Yeah, right. Speaking of rearranging your face, I took Omar's left hook to the ribs and cracked a couple of ribs, so he can certainly do some damage to any face that he was trying to punch. So it's a bit of an interesting story.
I think the simple answer to that, Omar, is you can have no control over people act around you. It's the only control you have is people you spend time around. And some people are going to deal with you differently than others. Yeah,
there's something we teach at camp is cause and effect. So there's two sides of an equation. There's the cause side and the effect side of things. And people that sort of struggle to grow, people that struggle to sort out the weight issues, sort out the health and all that kind of stuff is genuinely effect. Okay, they're constantly affected by other people, other things around them, and they kind of play the victim a little bit. People on the cause side of stuff, this is where people grow, they get stronger metaphorically and sort of physiologically. They're much more the mind is open up to new things, and that's where we're constantly trying to be. And a lot of focus, of Paula's work is to get people onto the course, because that's where people just become better. Again, we could have a whole webinar on this, but that in itself, just sort of those people out there, those haters, that they offset a lot of their guilt, they offset a lot of their, quite often it's saying more about them than it is of you. They become jealous of you changing and all this kind of stuff. And, listening to those people and taking notice of those people, that's you on the effect. To look at it and just sort of, and the saying I always have, I always say, well, that says more about you than it says about me. And, and sort of that tends to put me on the cause side of the equation, and away you go.
Yeah, I think another thing Craig said about 4 or 5, maybe 6 weeks ago, it was quite funny in the staff room one morning. And we were talking about other businesses and people commenting on how to run your business and whatnot. And Craig said, I'm not bothered. So unless they're going through something similar or have done something similar, don't even listen. And it's something I've done for the last 6 weeks, and it's actually been pretty beneficial.
Yeah, there's a famous quote. I'll try and pull it up as we speak. Actually, I think it was Theodore Roosevelt that said.
Yeah, it was.
If I can spell.
Very famous quote about talking about essentially the only person that deserves the credit is the man in the arena. Craig will read it in his nice, soothing northern voice now.
Yeah, just
there it is.
Here we go. In fact, I'll just pull one of these images up. The world's smallest image.
It'd be worth it, guys.
Yeah. It's not the man in the
not the man with the computer.
It's not the man doing the webinar that counts. Here we go. So it's called The Man in the Arena. It's just jumped off the screen. Here we go. Okay. So now. There we go. It's called The Man in the Arena. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end of the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who have never known neither victory nor defeat. You know,
which is a great, it's just a great passage. But what you can take from that is, if someone hasn't had any troubles with their weight, hasn't had any trouble with fitness, sits in a nice, comfy armchair and points a finger or pulls faces, then are they really worth listening to? I don't think they are.
Yeah. Be very careful who you take criticism for, or from rather. You know, and then the same with advice. You know, because the minute you start doing something, everybody becomes an expert. It's like the minute you go to start a new business, everyone's all of a sudden Alan Sugar-like, and they're telling you stuff. Well, everybody knows you should do this. Who the bloody hell are everyone? You know, because I don't think everyone's starting a business. You know, so just really be careful of that. And I know what you're saying, though, Omar. I know it's frustrating, and I think deep down, I think what that boils down to is a little bit of shame, perhaps a little bit of embarrassment, because you let yourself slip and you know it, and you know, and you're working hard to sort it out. Maybe you're caught in a rut, but we've got to channel this energy. I remember watching a very a top-level elite rugby league player on the telly, and he was given a bit of an interview during the game. It was the cup final, and the guy doing the commentary, he basically said to this guy, he said, "Oh, you're a little bit jealous of not playing in the final, your team not being in the final." And he just turned around and says, "Well, no, because jealousy is a wasted emotion, so it'd be pointless being jealous. I just wish the guys the best of luck," and all this kind of stuff. And I took a lot from that. You know, I thought, yeah, there are some emotions out there that are 100% wasted. And imagine focusing that energy into something that's going to be productive. I know it's dead easy to say. And I know there's been time, we and Lauren were talking about it before, where, you know, we were just putting up with idiots sometimes, you know, and sometimes you've got to really work hard to bite your lip, but be on the cause, push on through, you know, use that punching energy. It's here to, I try and evoke all sorts of different emotions in some of my training sessions. If someone's banging a tyre or punching a pad, I try and conjure up all different types of emotion to ring and drive energy. Anger is one of them. Anger is a huge emotion that you can tap into, you know, to get yourself into a state where you are working incredibly hard. So use it, bottle it up, keep it in the old exercise motivation bank, and use it when the time comes.
Yeah, just finish on that one, Doug. I've heard that you should do whatever you're focusing on first, i.e. do weights to build strength, then finish with cardio, or start cardio to build stamina. Yeah, just quickly on that, I'll refer you back to the mTOR pathway. By doing steady state cardio work following strength work, you're actually going to be blunting that pathway for muscle synthesis. So just read into it if it's something that interests you. Good stuff. Siobhan, I'm a firm believer of not just being a spectator in life, but to get involved and give things a try. You'll surprise yourself.
Yeah.
There we go. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, it's good, great saying, Siobhan. You know, great way to live life, really. Just get involved, get stuck in, and don't be that person on the sideline, like the quote says. Get amongst it, because ultimately, we're not here. You're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time, so you might miss the good time if you don't get involved. It's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, one thing we want to just introduce now is something on a Thursday evening before the weigh-in. We've started doing, me and Craig do a Get Your Home presentation, and just before that, with all the campers, we just asked them to write down 3 wins from that week. The reason for that is a lot of the time in our weight loss journey, we can get quite fixated on the scales. But when you actually ask somebody to define health, very, very rarely somebody would come back with the number on the scales. A lot of the time it's about how they feel. It's about the people that surround them. It's about their day-to-day living. And we're just trying to come away from all the focus being on the scale. So if you can now, just jot down 3 easy wins. And if you don't mind sharing it, just drop them in the comments box. 3 easy wins that you've had that you didn't have this time last Friday. Whilst we carry on talking about coaching with Lorne.
Well, no, I'll run through a couple of wins that I've got. So first of all, and just off the top of my head, wins. I've been really productive with my own sort of work and everything this week. That's a definite win. I've been banging out some good work this week. I've let other people or other things at camp and everything. Camp's an amazing place. You know, you can go down there for 10 minutes and end up doing 4 hours and just get pulled into all sorts of different stuff. Now, that wasn't very good for my productivity and other stuff, and I've really stood fast this week. So two wins there. You know, I've been a little bit assertive with my time, which is good. And, you know, I've managed to spend some good quality time with Paula, who I love to bits. And, you know, so 3 massive wins there, you know, just in life in general. I'll go on and do 3 wins in fitness. So I've done some pretty intense, which I've been avoiding for some reason over the last couple of months, but I need to do it. I need to get some strength. So that's a definite win. And today, you know, I've been in the gym and banged out sort of 3 or 4 pretty intense hit sessions in one session. So my training volume has definitely gone up. So what else? One more. Now I'm just running at a great pace, I think, as well. That's another win. You know, my sort of steady state running pace is much quicker. So.
Yeah, for me, I had a really busy 2 weeks. I went on that course that preceded the last webinar we did, and then I moved house by myself on my week off, so it wasn't really a week off, and my eating didn't go out the window in terms of still sugar-free, but it was certainly wasn't eating enough of what I wanted to. My sleeping was severely reduced, so my aim for this week was to get that back on track. I've actually got a bit of technology called a HRV monitor, which I measure. The first thing I get up in the morning, I put my heart rate monitor on, and it tells me, it basically indicates me how hard I can train that day. It measures the difference between my parasympathetic and my sympathetic nervous system. Again, we'll do a webinar on this. I'm going on another course at the start of March, and I'll come back and tell you guys all about it. It's something that we're going to introduce at camp. So my aim was to get that back in the greens, which means I can train hard each day, and I've done that. I got my highest reading this morning, and I did that by just concentrating on my eating and my sleeping. So that's been a big win for me this week.
Cool. Right, so obviously Siobhan before asked about the virtual boot camp, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to try, bear with us. I'm
still waiting for your 3 wins as well. Here we go.
Okay.
Greg's in.
Okay, so here's a little, I'm just sort of sharing a screen here of, you know, the sort of makeup of the virtual boot camp, right? And inside, obviously, part of the virtual boot camp is some coaching with Lorne. Now, in itself, you know, the knowledge that gets banded around the breakfast table, you know, led by Lorne in the morning is phenomenal. What he doesn't know about sort of exercise, conditioning, weight management, all that kind of stuff, and motivating yourself is pretty strong. So what we've done, this really doesn't paint a great picture because you've got to log in to get all these different bits of information, but you can kind of see the stuff that's going on. So we've got like a little get started thing, working on your own motivation, some coaching calls, which people, I know there's been a couple of coaching calls it's gone on in the last week or so, all led by Lorne. I'm banging out like the think side of things, all the mindset stuff with the NLP and psycho-cybernetics and all this kind of stuff. We've got weekly lessons in there. There's a whole sort of range of nutrition stuff, little videos and what have you. Couple of 21-day challenge, which we'll be banging out in the next couple of days. It's the weekly training, which consists of webinars similar to this, but that are just exclusive, just for people that are in this sort of membership area. So to learn more, you can see the URL up there, virtual-bootcamp.com. Now the focus of this, I'm just going to put it back onto our face, whether you like it or not. So the focus of this really is the coaching by launch. So we made a massive commitment this year to extend the help and support that people get when they come to camp, or even before they come to camp, and and to make it sort of available online, and really take what we're doing now and formalise it for the select few that that invest in their health and their own progress and everything. And one of the huge benefits is coaching with Lorne. So Lorne's going to take you basically from whatever level you are now, really drill down into your goals, create a program that's specific to your goals, work with you with the nutrition and all that kind of stuff, and do that on a regular basis. Add stacks of accountability in there. I mean, the guy just will not let you sit and avoid him. You know what I mean? He'll track you down and work out what's going on. So, Lorne, I mean, are you quite excited to be doing this? Or?
Yeah, I am, because I've been involved with TEAM for about 15, 16 months now. And my biggest fear was always, we had such a great setup on the camp itself, but then when people leave, it's back into normal. And that was always a big thing for me. And me and Craig, as soon as we got heads together, we wanted to put this together where it's more of almost like a halfway house in a way. So you come to camp, you then leave, but it also can be before camp, and it can also now be the way we've set it up. You don't even have to come to camp. I'm going to be honest with you, this is a great opportunity. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, to have me and Craig. So you'll get 2 15-minute calls with me a month, 2 15-minute calls with Craig a month, plus all the other benefits that Craig's just gone through. I see it as a massive opportunity, and you'd be crazy not to take up on it.
Yeah, and so many little bits and bobs which are still developing, like specific virtual bootcamp training weekends. Where because you've invested in this and you've been loyal to this, that we show a bit of loyalty back, and we get everyone together and have a full-on physical training, different areas around the country. So really, the opportunity is to get in on this early. We're putting together an exclusive number really of 20 people now, 20 original people that Lorne coaches through. They're going to be the VIPs really, because they're going to have helped mold this and create it into something that's valuable to people. That it's a service that is second to none, which I know it will be. There's some immense knowledge and expertise that you're going to become sort of receivers of really. So that's it. I mean, Siobhan, have you got any specific questions that you want us to answer?
We'll just go through the wins first. So Greg, you started the week well nutrition-wise. He did a run on Monday, and he penciled in his run for tomorrow. And he didn't do any of that last week. So 3 big wins straight away. Nothing to do with scales or weight. Just big wins psychologically. And Siobhan's 3 wins, did a brutal fitness test at Military Fitness. What was the fitness test, Siobhan? You got to tell us. In the pouring rain, your eating has been spot on, and you completed deadlines at work, so feeling good. See, that's the kind of thing we're talking about. Those big wins that have got nothing to do with the number on the scale.
Yeah, we say at camp, I sort of coach people. I'm just going to pick some up, and I've managed to pick up a little Pritt stick. But let's say this Pritt stick is a negative thought, okay, or it's a negative event. We are hardwired as humans to, this is obviously the wrong way around, isn't it? But we are hardwired as humans to recognise when things are negative. It kept us alive, when we were roaming the savannas and swinging around in the jungle and all that kind of stuff. It kept us alive because we are, I know we're top of the food chain right now, but we were pretty mediocre back in the day. Anyone that spent any time in the jungle, everything wants to scratch, cut, eat, bite, or kill you. And we were pretty crap. The way we protected ourselves was freezing, things like big predators and what have you would pick up on movement and what have you. So by freezing, we would increase the chance of survival. By running away, as our second course of action, and then the third one was to fight. And whereas if you look at some of other animals, like for example a pit viper, well, they just go straight into fight mode because they're pretty tough little feckers. You know what I mean? So human beings are we're hardwired to recognise negativity. Now, the problem is that in our mind, to offset this one negative thought, if this prick stick was a negative thought, you would need 21, on average 21. Some it's 16, some it's 25, a little bit more, but on average 21 positive thoughts. We've added 22 to start feeling better about yourself. My point there is, if you're not looking for other wins, other ways to recognise progress and positivity, you are going to be in a constant state of negativity because you are hardwired to identify it. And this is how we get stuck in ruts. We think we've got no choice and all this kind of stuff. So by trying to find these little wins, and then I do an exercise every day. I have an app on my phone that's called Win Streak, and basically every night I record 3 big wins for that day, and I plan the next 3 wins for the next day. The app does nothing else, but it's one of the most powerful apps that you can get. So, Greg, what's coming through here then? A little picture of your little wins here.
From Doug.
Oh, Doug, it is from your Fitbit. Quality, huge difference. Huge difference in the total number of steps. Pretty good. So pretty much double the amount of steps. Is that right? Am I reading it right?
Yeah. Because Tuesday was yesterday.
Yeah. Cool.
So 3 days we did a lot of steps. So
good effort, Doug. Obviously, little fitness things like that again is it boils back to that accountability again, doesn't it? You can share that and all that kind of stuff. So good effort.
Well, it's great to hear, Siobhan. I was wondering when you were going to come on board. I'm really happy about that. Just so you know as well, we're that confident that you start a 7-day trial and that's only £1. And if you don't like it, then obviously there's no obligation to carry on. So, yeah, get on board. All you need to require to then do is do a 7-day food, diet and training log, and then we'll have an initial call and we'll set up and we'll go from there.
Is that it?
Question-wise, yeah. Unless anyone's got anything else, we've covered everything we wanted to cover. I know that just want to lastly say as well, guys, if you have come to TEAM before, people are watching this on the YouTube channel who came maybe a year and a half ago. Aside from the grounds itself, I don't think you'd actually recognise the camp. I don't know if you'd agree with that, Craig. We've changed big time, and we get so much more now.
It's incredible. I mean, I actually put a little line in the sand the other day, and basically said we cannot increase the what we're giving people because it's going to force us to put up the cost, and you know what I mean. Because I believe that we're already, this isn't a boot camp anymore. It's not a boot camp. It's almost become a psychotherapy centre. It's become an extreme weight loss consultancy. It becomes, sports, strength and conditioning. The whole thing. It's just absolutely phenomenal. The kind of stuff that's going on there, and the people that are just popping out at the other end. Absolutely, the lives just completely changing. We've had 3 people now that have gone on to become personal trainers themselves, and they started a few months ago. Extremely overweight, not knowing where to go, having tried everything, and they changed the whole life. And when you got to look at Adam, James. I mean, James he came back the other day, having had a bit of a long weekend off, and he says this is him. This is the final stretch from going from an overweight person to someone of average size. And to see people do that, it's just incredible. Like, it really is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I second every word there. We've got a long-term called Alice at the moment who 4 weeks ago we attempted to do a session, and it was an assault course-based session, and she didn't make it through the warm-up. And then we did a similar session on Wednesday, and she did the whole thing running between obstacles, which when you meet Alice, you'll realise what an incredible feat that was. And that kind of stuff's happening daily. I don't know if you saw my post in the virtual bootcamp. Eva turned up She won't mind me telling you this. Was type 2 diabetic. Was heavily overweight. Very unhappy. I mean, in the transformation Eva's been. She now doesn't take her metformin.
Am I right in thinking from the day she turned up, she stopped taking her?
10 days in.
Oh, right.
10 days in. After 10 days, she went, I'm not taking this anymore. I don't need to. So realistically, she's now not diabetic, because if you don't take medication for an illness, then the illness doesn't exist. So she's gone for temptation. She did her first lap. I posted on the virtual bootcamp. This stuff's happening daily. I mean, the NLP sessions that Craig and Paula do, the whole thing, the whole package is completely changed, and I'm just happy to be a part of it. Cool,
but and without this getting too cheesy and backslapping and all that kind of stuff, Lorne is a huge part of it. So we've been waiting a long time for him to rock up. So Siobhan, you're back, 18th of March. Yeah, cool. It'd be good to have you back for 2 weeks. Actually, just checking my diary. I'm not sure I'm there actually. No, just kidding. I'll be there. So yeah, it'd be good to get your feedback. Good to catch up again.
So Craig will send you the info, Siobhan, for the coaching, and we'll get you done before you arrive at camp, which would be cool. Plenty to talk about when you get it.
Yeah. Okay. So unless there's any final afterburners questions, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks again for your time and for joining us again. We're probably gonna put out now in the next couple of days. I'm gonna pencil in the next two webinars. 2 weeks time, we're gonna look at the different training modalities. So training for strength, training for I don't know, whatever, endurance or whatever.
Yeah, for size, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. So we'll do that. So look out for those little look out for that little thing there for the questions and stuff. And then the second webinar that we're going to put out there, we will do on, what else did we say we were going to do?
Oh, now you're asking.
Touch replay.
What did we say? Great to hear that, Greg. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, mate. No, thanks a lot. You've been to everyone so far, so it's good to have you along, mate. You're part and parcel of this, so keep coming.
Yeah. So the first one we'll talk about was strength, and then.
Was it accountability or something like that? But we'll see anyway. All right. So I'll get the details this next Webby out, and we'll take it from there. So until next time, take care. Thanks a lot for joining us. Any final last words of encouragement or motivation, Lorne?
Get out and do it.
Get out and do it. And I would say go and have a look at that Teddy Roosevelt quote. It's the man in the arena that counts. Take care.